Hey, I take a week off and I don't even know how to do this anymore. But here we are again. I'm Kim Marshall, your host today. I'm the co-founder of Swell Public Relations and the host of the Global Wellness Summit podcast. It's been a minute though. Last week, my beautiful business partner at Swell Public Relations, Darlene Fisk, interviewed that fabulous nature video icon, Louis Schwartzberg. And today we get to speak with that juggernaut of super aging, David Henry Stewart. And for those who don't know who he is, he's the founder of a multi-platform media company called Ageist. Now let's get him because he's reaching out. So let us do it. Waiting for We Are Ageist. He knows what he's doing. He's so multi-platform. It's amazing. David.
Hey.
Oh, see, I knew you knew what you were doing. Look at this.
Well, sort of.
You're so multi-platform. That's what you are. I was just telling the gang that are listening so far, which seems to be a lot. Hello, everyone. We met back in October of last year in Singapore, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You spoke, but before you spoke on stage, and I knew all the wonders of what you did, I interviewed you for episode 8 of the Global Wellness Summit podcast. Don't miss it, people. It's still up there. It's called Life 2.0, Your Adventure After 50. And then a few months later, you turned the tables on me and you interviewed me for a story in your online magazine. Watch, let me see if I can do this. I don't know if I can. Did I do it? Here, watch. There it is. There's the cover. You see me with a lot more eyelashes than I have on today. But anyway, that shows what a great photographer you are, David.
Oh, thank you.
Anyway, tell us what Ageist really is so we all are up to speed.
Oh, well, we're a community and a movement of people over 50 who are living in a vital, vivid, forward-looking way. And, we like to say we're not done yet. Don't put me out to pasture. I got another, I'm going to be 62. So I figure I got another 35 good years.
I think you do. I'll be there cheering you on. That's what I can say for sure. And something that people might not realize is you're not just a magazine. You're much more than a magazine. Your podcast, what's it called? Super Age, Live Better?
Super Age, yeah.
Yeah. You are a weekly Zoom happy hour now during COVID, right? How many episodes?
Yeah. So we do happy hour with Chip Connolly. We have a good one tonight with the woman who's the CEO of Burning Man. And so Burning Man has had to flip from like a big, Burning Man to virtual. So we're going to talk about how they're doing that.
Yeah, that's a big deal because there's so many people that are heart tied to that thing. They feel like they can't be creative for the year ahead if they don't attend. So,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And you're also, what a lot of people don't realize is that you are an agency. Aegis is an agency that advises businesses and brands, etc., organizations on how to better speak to and understand the over 50 crowd. Is that right?
Yeah. That's right. We work with companies, very small startups to massive multinationals.
So I have so many things to ask you, but I tell everybody, go explore your website. It's so fun because I love that article.
Make it personal. What you got?
I love that thing, pushing fear and pharmaceuticals. You're the opposite of that, right? You don't want
I'm not scared. Are you scared? Why be scared?
Well, we can't be scared. No. I think when COVID first broke out, David, I saw a little fear in your eyes because we were being fed that whole story. Look out, it's coming for you over 50, right?
Well, that's true. March and April were freaky. And because nobody really knew what was up, what was happening, things seemed sort of out of control. Now people have a pretty good grasp on it. It's an aerosol transmission. So just avoid that and you're okay.
Yeah. But I've listened to a lot of your conversations and I think you shared with everyone else that you suffered from COVID toes, right? Which sounds terrifying. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're smiling.
Well, it's insane, right? So it's insane that there's even a thing called COVID toe, but there is. And so I interviewed a guy, Nir Barsali, he's a doctor, PhD at Einstein in New York, and we were talking about metformin and things like that on Super Age. And I said, by the way, I got COVID toe. What's the deal? He's like, yeah, I've had a few patients who've had that, And I said, well, do I have immunity? And he said, no.
Darn it!
I know.
You get the thing and you don't, yeah.
It's like a parallel disorder that's related but doesn't confer immunity. So that's a drag. Your toes just swell up and get red.
Your toes swell up and get red, but you're all better now, right?
Yeah, it lasted like 2 weeks. It went away. I didn't really think anything of it. I thought it was just some weird thing in my toes. And then I saw the cover of the New York Times, COVID toe. It's like, oh, yeah, that's me, COVID toe.
Wow. Well, you know what? It's almost like we have to kind of just accept that if something happens, that we fired up our pistons enough. I keep imagining, because I think mine doesn't matter, that I have the T cells. So I just embrace that, even if it isn't true.
I mean, I've known some people who've had COVID, and like my buddy John, who's a mountain climber, he's an MMA fighter. He's a badass, and it just about killed him. Like you do not want to get this. You do not want this.
Right. You don't want it because it's a crapshoot for sure.
Yeah.
So let's talk business. What can people learn from Ageist when it comes to emerging from the pandemic, transforming your business, adaptation? What have you done, David?
Whoa. Well, you know, I mean, truthfully, for us, our business, we're like busier than we've ever been because everybody wants the crystal ball. Like, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Nobody. If somebody tells you they have the right answer to that, they're lying. There's just like an enormous amount of cross currents of uncertainty, and COVID is like one of them. You know, the fires in California, what's happening to global warming, that's another one.
I live here.
The political stuff that's happening around the world, that's another one. Our fearless leader, God only knows what he's going to do. So there's like a lot of kind of kooky stuff out there.
Yeah.
I think as far as, I mean, some of the things I'm pretty certain of is business travel is going to be way down. And that's going to have an impact. That's already having an impact. I think commuting for work is going to be down. I don't think it's going to go away. I think it'll go down. I think what's super interesting with COVID is the Zoom phenomena. So Zoom is like, except for time zones, which are like kind of a issue, but Zoom has sort of flattened the world, right? Like, I have more friends and more contacts around the world now than I ever have in my life because of Zoom.
I mean, I can't get over the Global Wellness Summit has that weekly master class, and there's up to 400, 500 people. What did you say you get for your happy hour with Chip? 1,000 people?
Well, I think we've got like, I think we're coming up on like 3,000 people on the mailing list now. I mean, so some of them, a good chunk of them show up. A lot of people look at it on YouTube later. Yeah, I mean, but you know, it's fun. We have a good time.
It's fun, and we need to laugh. The other thing is, I love that you said that this sort of working from home will be kind of cool because a lot of times people, you know, interview people by text. They might not see that they have a little gray in their hair, and you, as long as you're Zoom pretty from the waist up, you know, your age can be a little bit of a mystery. And what is the deal? $30 to get a ring light? Anyone could do that and look a little better, right? So as long as we do that, then we can do Zoom.
You're looking good, Kim. Looking
I'm
foxy.
trying. I am trying. It's an effort. Okay. Now, tell me, you have all, you know, we've all had tough days during this. What do you think has been your toughest day through this craziness?
Early March in Los Angeles. You know, living in a large multifamily building, only able to take an elevator and not knowing how the virus is transmitted. There was no PPE, and that was really freaky. Yeah, I'm glad. I mean, like that was really scary for like 2 or 3 weeks trying to understand like what's up.
Remember that you and I, you were going to speak at a thing in San Diego for Eye Connection. And you were like, I think that's going to be a game day decision. I've held on to that because, you know, we don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. We just have to be adaptable, right?
Yeah, I think that, you know, there's that sort of like immediacy of what's happening, you know, today or in the next few hours. I don't feel that anymore. But what's the landscape going to look like in 6 months? I mean, I've sort of an idea, but there's more different kinds of uncertainty happening. And what's interesting about the uncertainty is there are also different like layers of it, right? So people at a certain age or a certain like economic level have like one kind, and then you have like these other kinds with like different ages and different different countries. So it's like, it's really complicated.
I know. And I really, I asked a few of my friends who follow Ageist religiously. I was like, okay, I'm talking to David. Do you have any questions? And one who sent me, when I was on the cover, they were like, hey, Kim, you know, because they were reading and getting the newsletter. I wonder, your stuff is quite positive. You look for people living their best lives.
Yeah.
But do you ever wonder when you're making editorial decisions, how dark can your topics go? I mean, just like what we're talking about, there are different classes of bad for this.
But I think that if you read Ageist, you know, like the woman that we have today. So when she was like 52, her father gets cancer, dies. Her mother gets cancer, dies. She gets cancer. Her 2 kids leave the house, and she gets divorced. Like, boom.
It doesn't get worse. Yeah.
So she says, like, what the fuck am I doing? What do I do?
Yeah.
So she has to reinvent. So I think what you see in Ageist is not people who don't struggle. Like, I'm not interested in like everything's beautiful all the time.
Yeah.
What I'm interested in is people who there's some sort of an arc. Something happens, and then they have a difficulty. They have a struggle, and sometimes they overcome it and they move to another place. And other times they're not quite sure they know what they want to do. I'm fine with that too. Like, that's kind of where I live in that world all the time. So, like,
and I mean, you connect with people when you're real, right? When you're honest. You say, give me what you got. We have to be honest with each other. So that's the dark side. What has been one of your best days during the shutdown as a leader?
Well, I don't know. Every day's, I don't want to say every day's pretty good, but, you know, one of the like awesome things about what I do is the people that I get to talk to. And it's just, you know, I was on the phone with a famous movie star this morning. And that was kind of fun.
Don't tell us who it is.
I'm
you
like in the middle of the call and I totally forgot her name. It was like, oh.
But I mean, you've interviewed some really cool people. I mean, when you talk about motorcycle riders, you know, marathoners, and you talk to Norma Kamali, who's one of my personal favorites.
Norma's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. She's 70, whatever, right? 70.
I was 74, I think.
74. Yeah. And when you interviewed Kathy Smith, the fitness icon, and she revealed her age, that's my gripe I have with you, David. You put the age in the headline. I mean, this is the hardest thing. I about fainted when I saw it, but she gulped about 4 times before she answered you.
Well,
and it was unbelievable.
I know Kathy. I mean, I see Kathy about every week. She just lives around the corner from me. And Kathy is like Kathy is, keep this in mind, Kathy is a lifelong professional athlete.
Yeah.
She's not messing around. And like when I touch Kathy on her arm, it is like a rock. Like,
I hate her. I see her on my hiking trail. I know. She's so sweet too.
She's lovely.
Really, it's so irritating. Okay. So what do you think you would share? Maybe you've learned from one of these interviews or you've learned from yourself that we could share with others to sort of hold on and keep kicking.
Well, what's the alternative? I mean, you can give up and die. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not down with that. So I think the main thing I've learned is that people can learn and they can change and they get stronger. So there's all this information we have that comes in that says like, you don't even try to do this because you're going to fail. You can't learn this. You're too old. You're like old equals dumb. That's false. Old equals weak. That's false. So, you know, I tell people it takes 3 years to learn anything. So like if you decided right now, Kim, to learn Mandarin, if you had such a desire, and you applied yourself in 3 years, you can speak Mandarin. You're not going to be translating at the UN, but you'll be able to speak. You'll be fine. You wanted to learn how to code, you could do that. Yeah. And I think that's we did a woman called Joan, who's in Mexico, who's started physically training at like 71. I think she was 240 pounds, like a marshmallow. And now Joan can rip off 10 dead hang pull-ups.
What?
At like 73. She's stronger than I am. But so she applies herself. Like, you can do this if you want to do it. And I tell people, don't confuse impossible with hard. It's hard, but it's not impossible. And it's up to you to make that choice.
Well, I mean, your questions are like, when you sent me the questions for the article, you're like, PR communications is a young person's game. How do you find a way in it? I'm like, yeah, right. But you and I both know that you just grow. You keep like when we talked, I was like, oh my God, IGTV gets on my nerves. Now every week it's part of my life. Here we are. Right. And now it's Slack, that online project management thing, and it's Google Docs for driving me crazy. And the next time we talk, I'll probably love those, and they'll just be a part of my morning. So
yeah, you just learn. It's like I'm like exhibit A for this, Kim. I was a photographer my whole career. I never used PowerPoint. I didn't know what it was. I never used Google Docs, analytics. I'd never spoken. I'd never written. I'd never done anything like this. And it's like, if I was presented with all of that at once, I would just drown. But you learn little bits and bits and bits, and then, it's fine. We can learn.
You learn, and you do. The first thing I said to you is, photographers can't write. What are you doing? And there I was proven wrong again. Anyway, tell me, what is a TED Talk, a book, a podcast that kind of gets you going that you'd like to share?
Yeah. Well, this week on Super Age, me and my friend Jonathan Chung, we're bibliomaniacs. We read a lot. And both of us, we share a fondness for this book called Anti-Fragile.
Anti-Fragile?
Anti-Fragile by Nassim Taleb. And I can tell you, it is the hardest, most dense book I've ever read, because he's kind of a dickhead, and he intentionally made it difficult to read. But the idea of the book is that there's fragile things that break when you stress them. There's robust things that stay the same when you stress them. And there's anti-fragile things that grow and get stronger when you stress them. And that's where we want to be. So we take like the Taleb idea, by applying stress, you get stronger. That's how weightlifting works. That's how distance running works. And that's how knowledge works. Like, if you go back to learning Mandarin, that's stressful. But guess what? You get stronger. It's an anti-fragile activity. So, I love that book. That's kind of a hard one. The other one that really affected me was sleep, or why we sleep. So Matthew, what is his name? I have it over here.
Why We Sleep.
Why We Sleep. I have a whole stack of books here, and it's there. Oh, Why We Sleep. So Matthew Walker. Yes.
Okay.
So, and like, if you think you can get by with like 6 or 7 hours a night, read that book and it'll scare you straight. And, you're not sleeping enough. You're looking at Alzheimer's, you're looking at dementia, you're looking at all kinds of like serious issues. And I interviewed a lot of high performing athletes, and I say, like, so what's the key? And they all tell me the same thing: sleep, rest. That's the name of the game.
Well, you do notice that I think you said Norma Kamali said she plans her whole day around getting enough sleep. Yeah. My husband gets up at 5 for work, and he's always like, I'm tired. I'm like, lay down. But yeah, so it's good. And it goes with the circadian rhythm trend, right?
Yes.
And the jet lag fighting that we all tried.
Yeah, Mickey. Remember Mickey from Global Wellness?
He's so cool. That's another podcast episode. But anyway, tell me about design. As I read an article in Forbes where they ask you what the active adults will be looking for in their wellness design in their homes, especially post-COVID.
Yeah, the active adult. That's a really interesting term. I had a doctor once say to me something like, "Oh, so you're active?" Like, as if she meant like I was going mall walking. And I just about like, it was a guy actually, and he's got this like big belly, and I was like,
yeah,
what the fuck, dude? Like, I can deadlift twice your weight. What do you mean active? Anyway,
it's offensive. Yeah.
It's offensive, right? So I think I tell my clients, if you're not in the wellness business, you are not in business. It is the only business in the world right now. Every every business there is needs to have a component addressing wellness. And I will also say another component addressing sustainability. If that's not part of your world is vaporizing.
Yeah.
So I would say in the home, I think there's going to be a lot more this idea of the home as a wellness place. So I think people are, well, for instance, I've got this rental condo here. The first thing I did was there were these horrible like blue LED lights and everything. The first thing I did was I replaced every light bulb in the place with 2700K bulbs because.
What is that? So people, if they don't know.
Oh yeah, so sure. Daylight is allegedly 5,000 degrees Kelvin. So when you buy a light bulb, it'll tell you what the color temperature is. So 5,000 is daylight. The cheap LED bulbs you get at Home Depot, they're more like 7,000. They're super blue. Not only will you look horrible and your wife or girlfriend look like a ghoul, you're not gonna be able to sleep at night.
That's the only reason we want them.
No, get rid of that stuff. So you want a bulb that's much warmer, that's like 3,000 degrees Kelvin or 2,700 degrees. Everybody looks better, you're gonna sleep better. So right. I think that's like something people are gonna pay attention to. Air quality is huge. Like you're in Los Angeles. I have friends in San Francisco and Portland. In Portland, like you have to wear a mask inside, not for COVID because of the dust.
Yeah.
So I think air quality, interior air quality. So not bringing things into your house that are off-gassing, filled with formaldehyde and other kinds of weird, nasty stuff. Light, breathing, sound. The home, because we're spending more time in the home, and there's this, that's coupled with the need for wellness, which is linked to health and longevity. There's going to be much more attention to the things that help us live better and to live more well. And that's like a whole range of things. And it's like a list. There are people who specialize in this, but I mean, I think that overall, there's going to be a much greater shift to the sensitivity of where does this thing come from? Where does it go after I'm done using it? And what's it going to do to me when I bring it into my house? Rather than just like, oh, it's like the light turns on. No. That's like, that doesn't count anymore. You got to answer those other two questions.
It's like organic sleeping. Like you can get a healthy mattress. Isn't that amazing? And organic sheets. It's like you spend all that time sleeping so important. What are you breathing in? And your air quality. I went to Berkeley to do a little getaway, and we both got COVID tested. My girlfriend and I, we were there to hike. First day, there's a heat storm. We have to drive to the ocean just to breathe because it's so hot. And then the fire smoke turned the night day. And the only place we could walk was in redwoods because they would filter the air a little bit. But what? So sustainability is the future. And if we don't pay attention, the world's going to,
I think it's the two things. It's that like if you think of, I love Venn diagrams. So if you do like the two Venn diagrams of sustainability, wellness, boom, that's the future right there.
Yeah, because COVID will be over. There will be a vaccine sooner or later, but global warming, unless we get it, will get us.
Yeah, COVID will, if you think about what happened with SARS in Hong Kong, that permanently changed that culture. And because of what happened with SARS, they were much more prepared for COVID. COVID will completely change the culture here. It's already done that. So, when the next thing comes around and there will be another thing, we'll be better prepared.
We'll be better prepared. Okay, Mr. Stewart, we only have, so much time. And I think, I've already talked to you. What will we talk about? We never run out of things to talk about. Tell me what brings you hope and joy every day.
Well, I think people individually have tremendous capacity. They have much more, my martial arts teacher always used to tell me, we're like much stronger than we think we are. We have much more capacity than we think we have. But what happens is when you link groups of people together, it's not a 1 + 1, it's a multiplicative effect. And you can see that with what happened with COVID and the science community. The science community globally dropped everything they were doing And they were like, problem number one, solve this. So I mean, I really feel like when you get groups of people together, they tend to make the right decisions, and they have a capacity to understand and generate ideas and solutions to things that may have been like impossible. Like in February, COVID vaccine, impossible. We didn't even know what it was. And now, we're looking at, vaccines in 6 months. So I feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, there's going to be some changes. We're going to see some brilliance on Manifest. And you did a Q&A with the wonderful Beth McGroarty. It's on the Global Wellness Summit website. So everybody can look that up. That was pretty in detail. Tell me if there's just one message you want to leave with our viewing public. We're all going to get older. How much percentage of your audience is under 50? Like 40%, right?
About half. Yeah.
About half.
Yeah.
Because they want some North Stars. So what do you tell both members of your audience?
Well, remember that the Public Enemy song, Don't Believe the Hype? Remember that?
I have to play it after this. Sing it, David. Sing it.
No. You're not going to be able to like do it rap songs. There's all this information that comes to us that says there's something wrong with us, that we don't have capacity. And it's the opposite of what happens to people when they're 20. When people are 20, they're overpromised capacity. When they get like 40, they're underpromised capacity. And neither one is right? Because both of them have a vested interest in you believing, like if I tell you there's something wrong with you, Kim, and only I can fix it, or only I have a product, or you should be very scared, right? So don't believe that stuff. Like, we're fine. Watch less television, spend less time. I know we're on social media, but like spend less time in that world, and your life will calm down.
Your life will calm down. Take a walk in the woods. Well, you know what, Mr. Stewart, keep being a beacon for us. Keep kicking it. And tonight they can go on your website and they can join your happy hour with Chip.
Oh yeah, it's fun. Yeah. It's Chip and I. We have a ball. It's like Abbott and Costello do happy hour. It's ridiculous.
And we're talking to Chip next week. He's the big travel industry icon. So anyway,
well, Chip's the big brain. I'm the one who's like, oh, who made your shirt? It's really cute.
You love clothes, dude. That's one thing I noticed, but it's good. It's working. So listen, we shall see you online, and meanwhile, we'll see you in the woods. Okay?
Absolutely. Take care, Kim.
Keep walking. Thanks.
Okay. Bye-bye.